Good morning, everyone. How's it going today? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to show you LlamaExtract, which is a new tool by LlamaIndex. And what it allows you to do is to extract structured information from an unstructured file. So for example, has it ever happened to you that you have a bunch of PDFs or images with resumes from employees or invoices, and you want to take all of that information and put it into your database so that you can actually use it? Well, this can be quite cumbersome and a lot of work if you do not have a tool that does this automatically. So that is what LlamaExtract can do for you. It is kind of a more automated way of doing what you can also do with Unstructured, for example. So let me show you how it works. Essentially, it is very, very straightforward. All you have to do is define a schema of the information that you want to be extracted. Then you're going to send your document. It can be your PDF with one or multiple pages or an image, etc. And you will get, as a result, the JSON object with all of the data extracted from that file. And we're going to be covering everything that you need to know about how to use this in a very detailed notebook. And I'm also going to be showing you very quickly how to use the graphical user interface that they have available as well. And everything that I show right here, you can actually do it for free on their free tier. So this should be enough to cover anything for any personal project that you may have, or even maybe a small company, okay? So let's get right into it. All right, so to get started, all you have to do is click right here on Get Started. You will be prompted to create your new account, and then you will go right here to Llama Cloud. They have a very generous free tier, so don't really need to add your credit card. You're going to go right here to Parse, Extract, or Index. These are the tools that they have available. And the one that we're going to be using is Extraction. As you can see, I have already created one extraction agent. They call them agents. So essentially, this is just an extractor tool. And I have, as you can see, just created one right here, and you can create a new one just by going right here. When you create one, the UI will prompt you to select the extraction mode. You have the possibility to select between fast, balanced, multimodal, and premium, depending on how powerful you need the extraction to be. Also, you have these more advanced features, such as you want to extract per page or per document. We're going to be seeing more on that in a second. And here, very importantly, you have the actual schema that you're going to be working with. So in this particular example, I'm going to be extracting resumes. So I'm going to be uploading a resume right here, and I'm going to be extracting the email, the name, and the skills of the person, okay? So let me show you what this would look like. So I'm using a resume dataset that I downloaded from the internet here with a bunch of different resumes. I'm going to take one of these ones right here. I'm going to upload it right here, okay? This works better with PDFs, however, they do support images. So I'm going to click on Run Extraction, and this is going to queue the process, okay? And I mean, as you can see, this is going to be pretty useful if you want to extract a single document. But if you really want to create a pipeline to extract, for example, a list of invoices that you have, or maybe automatically extract the results from the resumes that you're getting for your company, you probably want to do this with code. So we're going to see how to do this with code in just a moment. But let me just show you. Here is the resume that I just extracted. And as you can see, I have the extraction results right here that I can just export, okay? However, the real useful thing and powerful thing right here is to do this with code. So let's take a look at the notebook on how to do this. All right, so what we're going to be doing right now, actually before starting, I deleted the previous agent that I had created right here so that we can actually start from scratch. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is install Llama Cloud Services. This is the SDK that we're going to be using in order to actually connect to the Llama Cloud API. And then you're going to need a Llama Cloud API key. So you're going to have to name it Llama Cloud API key like this so that your SDK can detect it automatically. And then after that, you're going to go right here to API keys, generate new API key, can name mine temp, hit and create, and then just copy this. And we're going to say that if there is no Llama Cloud API key detected in our environment variables, we're going to define it right here. And there we go. Now we can start actually creating the extractor agent. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is from Llama Cloud Services, you're going to import LlamaExtract, and we're going to be using Pydantic to define the schema that we're going to be extracting from our PDFs or our unstructured files. So first of all, you initialize your extractor doing equal LlamaExtract that you imported from Llama Cloud Services. And then you define your schema using Pydantic like this right here. If you're not familiar with Pydantic, it is a data validation library for Python that allows you essentially to create these schemas that then you can just call in your applications to be sure that your application is respecting them. And that's what we're doing right here. So the way this works is that you import the base model from Pydantic, and then you inherit from that class, and then create your own class and just add different properties that you're going to want this schema to have. So the first one that we're going to be using is the name, then the email, and the skills. The name is a string, the email is also a string, and the skills is a list of strings. And very importantly right here, you're going to have to add a field with a description right here. And this is extremely important because this is what is going to tell your large language model or your AI model what information is going to be in this particular field. So remember to make it very specific. In this particular example, these are very straightforward things, but if you want it to be more specific or you want your language model to perform some additional operation in between while filling this schema, this is the place to add those, okay? Then you're going to want to just create the agent saying agent equals extractor dot create agent. You're going to have to give it a name, and then you pass as a second argument the schema. And in this case, it is the resume that we have right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be extracting this schema from one of these resumes that I have downloaded from a dataset. If you want the full dataset of all the fake resumes, it's in the description, but it's very straightforward. What is going to be happening is that I uploaded them right here under a data directory in my Colab notebook. I'm going to be calling it on resume1.pdf. So I'm going to do it with resume1.pdf, and we're just going to hit enter. And as you can see, this is going to start off the process. So it created my agent and it extracted my data. Now I can take a look at the data just by taking a look at the result right here. So as you can see, the resulting element is actually quite big, but if I just want to take a look at the data, I can do result.data. And now I can see that the name is Macy Williams, email, and then the skills, there was no email in this particular one. So there you go. That is how you do this. And very interestingly is that you can go right here to extractions. And as you can see, my resume parser was just created. So I can take a look in my UI, what is actually going on with my pipeline that I am doing. So I can see the extraction results right here as well, right? So you can see the file that I uploaded, and you can see the extraction, the extracted data. And at the same time, you're going to be able to use this in your own pipelines for data extraction if that is what you want to do. And if you're working with this in a pipeline, you probably want to be able to manage the agents. So that is to delete them, create them, or also get the agents to reuse them once you have created them. And it's also possible to do this naturally in the UI. So you go right here to the UI extraction. Here you have all the agents that you have already created. But it is also quite useful to be able to do that programmatically so that you can create them and maybe even dispose of them on the spot while you're creating your pipeline. And that's very straightforward. All you're going to have to do is you're going to import LlamaExtract like you did before. And from here, you can just initialize an extractor and call the list agents method right here. And as you can see, if I just hit on enter right here, you can see that I have my agent that I had just created before named resume parser and the ID that is associated to it. Now, if what I want to do is to delete it, I can just run extractor.delete agent, and all I'm going to have to do is to pass the ID of this particular agent that I want to delete. Or something else that I can do is I can just get an agent that I have already created and reuse it, okay? Just by doing extractor.getAgent and then just pass in either the name, or you can also pass in the ID. And right here, this one right here would take the actual ID of my agent. And in this example, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete it. So I'm going to run this right here. It's going to get my agent, then delete it. And then if we come right here and reload, you can see that the agent is gone. So now something very useful that the SDK can allow you to do is to extract data from multiple files at the same time, okay? So you don't have to go one after another or manually load one after another in the UI. And in order to do that, it's very straightforward. I have actually recreated the agent that I had made before of camera. So I'm just going to run get agent to be able to reuse it. So I'm going to set this agent to get agent resume parser. And then I'm going to have to go to agent.queueExtraction. And this one right here is going to take as input a list of all the locations of the files that you're going to be extracting. In this example, I'm going to be extracting two different resumes right here. I believe it is this one and this one right here. And it's very straightforward. All that it's going to do is it is going to queue that process in a process queue in the cloud. That is why this has to be awaited. And you will also be able to check the status of these processes in the queue to see when they have finished. So right now you can see that it has already queued the extraction, and now we can actually just check the job status right there. So for each one of the jobs that I have created, I can just check the status, getting the get extraction job, then passing the job.id, which I got from right here, and then just accessing this status part right there. And essentially you can see that both of them have already succeeded. So what I can do is just go right here, and for each one of them, I can just run get extraction run for job, which essentially will return to me the value of the extraction after the job has been finished, after we have identified that the status of the process is a success. And then I can just go to results.data for each one of these results. And as you can see, I have the extracted data from my resumes, okay? And now quite useful too, you can also update the schema of your agent that you have already created. So if your agent is already created, what I'm going to do is actually just, let me just get the agent again. So I'm going to say get agent resume parser, and I'm going to update the schema. In this sense, I'm going to recreate a new Pydantic model. In this case, I'm going to add the location and education fields. And all I'm going to have to do is say agent.dataSchema, and then just pass in my new schema right here. And I'm going to have to hit agent.save so that it actually gets updated in the cloud. So I'm going to hit enter right here. And after that, I'm going to be able to just reparse another file right here. I'm going to be parsing the resume number 2. And let's take a look at the data that it returned to us. And as you can see, we have Yamamoto. You have that this resume had no email. You have the skills, you have the location, and then you have the education as well. Okay, so there you go. That is how to create, update, and delete agents, and how to run them in a batch. All right, so now let's talk about some more custom configurations. For example, let's suppose that you have a single file with hundreds of different resumes in it, or a single file with hundreds of different invoices. What you're going to want to do is probably not do what we have been doing before, because that would extract you a single JSON file for the entire file of all of your resumes. So what you're going to want to do is instead you're going to want to set the setting for extraction by page. And there are some other custom configurations that are quite useful. But first of all, let me show you that you can actually initialize a LlamaExtract by project ID and by organization ID that can allow you to have more controlled environments. So when you go to Llama Cloud, what you can do is go right here and either create a new organization or a new project right here and have your different files associated to that particular project or organization. And also something that you can do is you can import this API error types from Llama Cloud Core .api error, so that way you're going to be able to have a much more resilient error handling logic like you see right here. Okay, so in this example, I am just getting the agent that I have already created. If it exists, I am going to delete it, and then if there was an error, I'm just going to return the error right here. And the reason why I'm going to be deleting it is because I'm going to be creating a new agent with this more sophisticated configuration that you see right here. So in order to import this, you're going to have to import extract config from Llama Cloud like this. Now Llama Cloud naturally comes inside the Llama Cloud services, so you do not have to install it separately. And now what we can do is just start using it. So I'm going to initialize extract config equals extract config like this. And here are a bunch of different configurations that you can set. The first one is the extraction mode. It can be either fast, balanced, multi-model, or premium, depending on how complicated your files are. Usually fast is more than enough. If you have a little bit of a doubt, you can use balanced. Multi-model is really if you have a lot of tables or images or plots, but in general, balanced or even fast should be enough for pretty much any use case. Secondly, you have the system prompt. So in this case, since it is a resume, I'm going to say this is a resume for the company Acme. And then the extraction target. This is a very important setting because this is the one that will allow you to actually extract one JSON object per page instead of per the entire document. Okay, so in this example, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be using this file right here with 8 resumes, and I am going to be extracting it right here with a single call, and it is going to return an array of 8 different objects, one for each resume. Okay. Also use reasoning. This one is in beta for now, but you can set it to true if for some reason you really need a much more sophisticated way of extraction. Maybe the agent is supposed to perform some calculation or perform some more sophisticated reasoning. I cannot think of any cases in which this would be necessary unless it is a very, very complex file with, say, for example, a table, and then you probably also have a plot and you have to extract some data correlating the table and the plot and things like that. Maybe for those scenarios you want to use reasoning, but for most case scenarios you probably just want to go ahead without that part. And it is also possible to cite the sources. So when you hit this one to true, this is going to actually return to you a parameter with the sources, with the actual exact text that it used to populate the field inside of your schema. So I'm going to be creating the agent like this. So agent, we're going to do extract.create agent. I'm going to pass in, as before, my resume parser, name, then the data schema, the resume that we had previously defined, and then the configuration, which is this extract config object that we have just initialized. And I'm going to be passing in the merged resumes.pdf. If I remember correctly, it is merged.pdf, not merged resumes. So merged.pdf, and let's hit enter. Remember that I am recreating the agent because I just deleted it right here. Okay, so there you go. And then let's take a look at the result. And there we go. So now we can actually just go to printing this part right here. So I'm going to be using pretty print for this. So let's hit enter. And as you can see, I have 8 different objects right here, not a single one. So I have the education for the first one, then the skills, the name, the education, name, skills for the second one, and the same for each one of the 8. Okay. Now, just to show you what would happen if instead of per page, I pass in per doc. Let me just execute this. And there you go. Now, if I print this one right here, you can see that I get a single JSON file, which is probably not what I want because I actually want the 8 different ones. Okay. So just be sure to select per doc or per page, depending on your specific use case. All right. And then let's just take a very quick look at the pricing. LlamaIndex has historically been very generous with their free tier, so there is really no reason to not test them out. Their free tier is essentially the equivalent of a $10 per month subscription, but for free. Okay, so you get 10,000 credits for free every single month. Every 1,000 credits is equivalent to $1, and you can get the starter or the pro enterprise if you really need enterprise grade parsing, but this is more than enough. With 1,000 credits, you actually get about 1,000 pages on their balanced extraction. Okay, so let me show you right here. If we go right here, then to extract pricing, you can see that the balanced mode costs you 10 credits per page, which would be 1,000 pages per month under the free scheme. Okay. And very importantly, these credits can actually be used across their different products. So they can be used in extract, in parse, and in index. And in terms of privacy, well, LlamaIndex ensures you that they do not use your data to train any models and the data is kept private. And also, if you're interested in it, they also allow you to host all of your models and all of your data processing and data storage in Europe. It's just a little bit more expensive, 50% more expensive to be precise, but it is possible to sign up in Europe and have everything in Europe instead of in North America. And in order to do that, all that you have to do is go to, instead of cloud.llamaindex.ai, you go to cloud.eu.llamaindex.ai, and that way your data and all of the processes are never going to leave the European Union. In case that is useful to you or important, you're probably a company in the European Union and you do not want your data leaving the European Union. And there you go. That has been a complete overview of how to extract structured information from a lot of unstructured files, such as PDFs or images. And it is very useful to actually implement your own pipeline. Maybe you want to extract all of your PDFs, all of your resumes, invoices, and put them inside the database. And you can definitely do that very accurately with this tool right here. So thank you very much for watching. It has been a great pleasure being here with you, and I will see you next time.